Welcome to the Unstoppable Podcast, episode number 25, with very special guest, Vince Del Monte.
My name is Dan J. Gregory, and I am committed to hunting down the secrets of business mastery and human performance. My goal for the Unstoppable Podcast is to share insights from some of the most successful entrepreneurs, inspiring thought leaders, world-class athletes, and prominent celebrities to help you to become unstoppable in business and life. Each week I'll be bringing you a new interview with an inspiring person and sharing my own results as I pursue the answers to the question, how can I create the ultimate edge in my business, make a significant impact, and live an extraordinary life?
Welcome to episode 25 of the Unstoppable Podcast. I'm very excited about today's show. Tonight's guest is a man who has created an absolute empire within the fitness industry. Our guest tonight is Vince Del Monte. Vince Del Monte was nicknamed Skinny Vinny all through high school and university, and he never weighed more than 149 pounds. That's just 68 kilograms. And whilst he initially turned this physique into his advantage through endurance sports and even represented Canada in the triathlon, he dreamed of being able to add real muscle to his body. After university, Vince began his career in the fitness industry as a personal trainer. And shortly after beginning his journey, Vince found a mentor who introduced him to a world of bodybuilding that he had never read about in the magazines. And within 24 short weeks, Vince had gained over 41 pounds of muscle naturally and by only spending 3 to 4 hours per week training. In 2006, Vince released No Nonsense Muscle Building, his signature program where he shared his natural approach to building muscle for skinny guys. He wrote the book so that other skinny guys could avoid all the bad information and mistakes that most guys make when it comes to getting started to transforming your body. The book was a hit with over 100,000 downloads in a very short period of time. And since 2006, when Vince launched that program, he has gone on to build a phenomenal, highly profitable online business and help thousands of guys and girls go from skinny to buff. He has got over 750,000 followers on Facebook and nearly 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, with nearly 50 million views since 2008. Not forgetting to mention his substantial email list and other social channels. Not only has Vince built an extremely successful business, he's also crafted an enviable lifestyle, all while spending quality time with his wife and young family. His primary goal is to help 1 million skinny guys by the year 2020. If you are interested in transforming your body and your life, Vince is your man for some serious muscle building tips. In today's show, though, we're going to focus on business, and Vince openly shares the difference that has made the difference for him and his business as he approaches the 10-year anniversary of his original signature no-nonsense muscle building product. Despite his significant following, Vince attributes his success to creating high-converting offers that ensure that his followers become loyal, raving fan customers. Get ready to learn how to radically grow your business online. I'm honored to introduce Mr. Vince Del Monte. Big welcome to Vince Del Monte. I'm absolutely excited about today's show. Vince, welcome to the Unstoppable Podcast.
Thanks, Dan.
Vince, for the listeners today, I would really appreciate, could you share a frame in terms of what you're doing right now? What's your business at the moment?
Absolutely. So I help skinny guys build muscle the natural way. And I've been doing this since 2006. I released my first ebook when I was a complete nobody. So I had 0 people on my list, 0 customers. YouTube didn't exist. Facebook didn't exist. I was, in a complete obscurity. No one knew who I was. And I launched this ebook to the world called No Nonsense Muscle Building, Skinny Guy Secrets to Insane Muscle Gain. And it was based around my first transformation in the gym when I went from 149 to 190 in a short period of time. And that ebook was essentially how I transformed my body. And that was the ebook that put me on the map. I sold over 100,000 copies of that over a fairly short period of time. I definitely, everybody's perspective on what's fast and what's slow is different these days. But That's what I did. And 10 years later, I just literally, kid you not, just celebrated, actually, no, May 4th, 2006. What day is it today? Holy crap. In a couple days, no joke, in what's that, 8, 9? In 9 days from now, I will have been online for 10 years. I'll be celebrating the 10-year anniversary of No Nonsense Muscle Building. And it's funny because literally this Thursday, I kid you not, we're launching No Nonsense Muscle Building 2.0.
Wow.
And it's completely badass. It's a brand new program. There's so much awesomeness inside of it. But, I think the take-home lesson number one, guys, whoever's listening to this, is that my success has been based on focus and doubling down on one marketplace. I don't do kettlebells. I don't do fat loss. I don't do body weight. I don't do nutrition. I teach skinny guys how to train. I teach skinny guys how to train and how to build muscle. I teach them the most direct, the most efficient way. I teach them how to avoid the nonsense. I teach them how to train smarter, not just harder. And that's like the message. And the whole message is overlap from my story when I was a young, skinny Vinny, and I couldn't build muscle for the life of me. And it's a true story. I mean, I went through the pain of being skinny. I was weak. I was a pushover. I was just an embarrassingly excuse of a man. and muscle changed my life. My muscle literally was the stepping stone for me to get all the things that I really wanted. A better career, better lifestyle, and eventually the girl of my dreams. I've got a great, amazing family, and I spend my time sometimes in Florida, sometimes in Canada. So it all started with muscle, and really, that's it. That's what I do. I help skinny guys solve their initial problem of building muscle. But then when they come into my world, I've got a whole brand, Living Large. I got an online TV show called Live Large TV, and I start teaching them how to live large, not just inside the gym, but outside of the gym. And that's another big lesson. A lot of people who come in my, business coaching things, they say, Vince, I want to help people do everything. And I'm like, okay, dude, you're nobody right now. Literally, you're a nobody. Nobody knows who you are. You need to start by solving one person's problem. So for me, I start off with skinny guys who are crying at night because their arms are too small. And they're literally in pain. And I put videos out on how to get bigger arms, how to get bigger shoulders. When I solve that problem, when they come into my world, then I start talking about that other stuff. But I build the relationship by solving a problem they have right now. And I think that's like, if people have got to jump off the call right now and leave, I think that's one of the most valuable things you can take away, because we live in a day and age of social media, and people share all this, I kid you not, irrelevant shit. It's like nobody cares that you're, going to Miami right now. Nobody cares that you're taking your kids for a walk. Nobody cares that you're having dinner at a nice steakhouse tonight. Nobody cares. The only people that care about that stuff are the people who've actually been assisted with your information, and you've developed a relationship first. And I see so many guys trying to build businesses around like their lifestyle and look what I'm doing, when that's not true relationship building. True relationship building is solving somebody's problem and starting there. And that's why, I have a fitness information business. If you look at my YouTube videos, you'll see the titles are based around things people type into the search engine. They're problems people have, and I offer solutions for free on how to fix those problems, and I give them an opportunity to get something else that is free at the end of the video. And if they come into my world, they join my newsletter list, and that's where I start selling them shit. Awesome. I shouldn't say that. My stuff, I put out the best information, but that's where we do the selling. But we don't. So anyways, that's kind of like the entire business model. So the business model is to target people who are in pain, specifically people who are skinny, who want to build muscle. And we give away a lot of free information, and we bring them into our lead by giving them free gifts. And then once they're in our world and they like, know, and trust us, we make them offers relevant to the thing that they initially put their hand up for. If somebody comes in who's expressed interest on building bigger arms, I don't start pitching them nutrition lessons, cooking videos. It's like, it's a complete disconnect. So So, we do a lot of segmentation, and that's kind of a really, really savvy marketing technique. It's not even a technique. It's a very smart way of doing business. It's a little advanced, requires a lot of time, resources, and just things to set up. But, in this day and age, I feel like the strategy is very simple. You need to get focused on who your audience is. And remember, not all clicks are created equal. I can't stress this enough. Do you want me to expand on that, Dan?
Yeah, what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
I mean, there's guys on YouTube. I kid you not, one of my buddies, he's from Toronto. He doesn't live too far from me. He's got literally 2.5 million YouTube subscribers.
Wow.
For anybody who's trying to build a following on YouTube, YouTube is not an easy nut to crack. It is hard to get a subscriber. I mean, our conversion rate just to get they're free. It's not like they just have to click the damn subscribe button. It's not like you're asking them for their name and email. We actually get a better conversion rate on asking people for their name and email address than we do for a free subscription to the channel.
Wow.
It's insane. Yeah, it's crazy. So anyways, that's a separate conversation. But anyways, this guy's got over 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube. And he called me up. We've known each other for years. He's like, bro, I need to make some money. I'm like, what do you mean you need to make some money? I mean, don't you have he's got 1 million Instagram followers too. And he's got what, we call lifestyle business. He's a great guy. He's a great guy, but his business model is not solving people's problems. He's everybody's best friend. He wants to be liked by everybody. And he puts out a lot of free information. He's that guy that, don't worry, I'm not going to sell you anything. And guess what? He doesn't.
Wow, yeah.
But he's literally living paycheck to paycheck. He's flying around the world doing all these appearances. He's got a clothing line. I'm like, dude, man. And don't get me wrong, I know a few guys who make a lot of money selling clothing, but they're smart. They've got a bigger, strategy in place. But long story short, you can really get hung up these days looking at the size of people's audiences. And I've got friends who've got 1/10 the size of these audiences who are making literally 10 times more, 20 times more income.
Absolutely.
So you really have to get clear on what your strategy is.
I always say that you have to really understand your client's map of the world first and foremost. What is their current pain point? What is their current challenge? What's the thing that keeps them awake? What's the most pressing need they have? And you have to understand them at that point on their map of the world before you start taking them into your map, where you might have 5 or 6 different other services that could be the actual need that they have. But all they're thinking about right now is that one single problem that they want to get fixed. So if it's the skinny guy who wants to put on muscle, I can relate to that. I'm an ectomorph. I'm a tall, 6'1", slim guy. So the thing I'm thinking about is, how do I put on muscle? And when I enter the world, you come to me and say, look, I can help you fix that situation. But then later on down the track, I might learn 4 or 5 other things that whether it's nutrition or workouts or supplementation, all this other stuff. I might learn that later on down the track, but first and foremost, you're meeting me on my map of the world because that is the need that I have, and you're focused 100% on that one specific need. And what I'm hearing from what you've created with your business is really honing down on that specific pain point or challenge with that specific audience as well, and really being narrow focused, at least initially, on those particular people and what they're looking to achieve. Would that be right?
Absolutely. I love one of my mentors told me, to monetize, you have to polarize.
Yes.
That's worth writing down. To monetize, you have to polarize. So people think, well, Vince, aren't you narrowing your market? And I say, yes, that's where all the money is. Narrowing your market, going deep. Don't scuba dive. Sorry, don't skim the surface, scuba dive.
Yes.
So because these skinny guys, after you help them build their arms up, then you can help them build their legs and help build their whole frame. And then eventually they might want to compete. And then, they might want to get into, turn this into a career. So just to kind of give you an idea of where this can go, I mean, again, I want to give you context. This has taken 10 years. Just recently, I started doing these 0 to 6 figure formula seminars. So I teach guys how to go from 0 to 6 figures and online, creating an online fitness business. And guess where these people are coming from?
I'd imagine to be coming from your audience.
They're coming from my muscle building list.
Exactly.
I'm not online saying, hey, I'm teaching you guys how to make money. I'm teaching people how to build muscle, but what happens is after a period of time, they start having this relationship with you and they trust you and they start seeing, okay, this guy's making a living doing this. He's got a YouTube channel. I'm in the fitness industry too. I wonder how I can get in on this. And it's crazy because the profit margins are like, I mean, I'm not using a sales page. I'm selling this through email with like a super short email with a follow-up email if they express interest that just gives them the details of the event and then a link to the payment. To the payment processor so they can confirm their spot. And it's insane. You know, I've had over 30, 12, no, more than that, almost 40 people come between my last 3 events. And the reason I'm telling you this is not to pitch my event. It's just to tell you that if I had led with, hey, come learn how to make money for me, come learn how to build a business with me, people would be like, what business do you have? It's like a skinny guy selling muscle building advice. It's like, you know, overweight person selling fat loss advice. It's a complete disconnect. But because these people have come on the journey with me, they're now ready for this email. And this email, you know, it targets a very specific person. And I'm not looking to get, you know, fill 200 seats in a room. I'm looking, you know, it's a $2,000 event. I'm just looking to get, you know, 8 to 10 people in the room, do them every few months. And now I'm doing what I really want to do. I mean, I've always wanted to work with people more one-on-one, help them build a business. But it's like, who am I to teach people how to build a business if I've never done it myself? I don't have to sell the event. People know that they know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
So I think that the reason I'm telling you this, and this is what people need to take away, is that you have to appreciate where you are right now. I just talked about this in my recent Day in the Life video that we shot in Miami. It's on the YouTube channel. It just went up. You should watch it. It's really fun.
Cool.
And I talk about this is a lot of people want to skip steps, you know, and I tell people, like, they come to me, like, I want to do what you do. I'm like, okay, bro, first of all, I've been doing this for 10 years. Prior to that, I worked in a gym for 4 years. Prior to that, I went to school for 4 years. There's a process. You don't just start having an audience. I went to school, I got educated. Then I got some certifications. And then I started hanging around mentors. And then I started going to events and I really worked on becoming a better trainer. And then I discovered the internet. And then I hired a coach. And then I launched my ebook. And then it took me 2 years before I was making enough for my job to quit my job and to do this full time. And then it took another year to, you know, get to the next level. And then it took another few years to get to the next level. Like, guys, it takes time. Like, this stuff you have to, and the reason, again, I'm saying this is because guys want to skip steps and they don't want to grind where they are right now.
I mean, it's funny you say that. I mean, I was this morning, I was watching a video by Gary Vaynerchuk, who was talking overnight success. One of his friends had contacted him that he went to school with and said that, oh, it's great that you've been so lucky to have this overnight success. And you can imagine what Gary Vaynerchuk responded to that. And he created this video which showed the history of all these like thousands and thousands of Wine Library TV videos that he'd created to create this overnight success. And people, I think one of the beautiful things about this podcast is my goal to, because people often look up to successful people and they think I could never do that. But my goal with this podcast is to not for people to look up to people, but to look into people, to see the steps that they've taken so that they can see that it's possible if you're willing to do the work to create the kind of results that, you know, you can see other people and admire other people doing. So I think it's really powerful that we're able to have that kind of conversation and share that the humble beginnings it takes to create that large enterprise which you've managed to create over 10 years of hard grind.
I like that, for people to look into you, not look up to you. That's cool.
So I'm really curious, when was the moment that you made the decision that you were going to transform your body? What was it that kicked everything off for you?
All right, so I graduated from the University of Western. I was 22 years of age. I missed my cutoff to get into teacher's college by literally 1%. And I was doing some personal training when I was in my fourth year university, and I really fell in love with this whole world of personal training. It was back in 2001, 2002. So it was like I just fell in love with the concept of training somebody and helping them with their body. And I graduated university, and like most graduates, you have to figure out what the heck you're going to do. I spent $50,000 on a university education, and I started working at the local YMCA for literally $10 an hour. My dad, he's Italian. He wasn't very happy. It's like these were his words. He said, "Are you going to be a personal trainer when you're 35?" He looked at it as like a downgrade. He was like, "You just went to school, you got a university education, and now you're working at the YMCA that I work out at for $10 an hour, writing workout programs for people." He's like, "It was." I was like, and you know what? I'm not upset about it. He's right. I'm like, he may have a great point. I'm like, yeah, this is freaking insane. What the heck? I had to prove myself. I had to make him believe it wasn't his problem. He was like, wow, whoa. So anyways, the first step was like, I wanted to be a trainer, but I didn't look like a trainer. So because my eligibility was over, I'd been a long distance runner all through high school, all through university. And I didn't tell you this whole story, but when I was at university, I lived with all these buff dudes. I kid you not. And that whole world of muscle rubbed off on me. And I was always fascinated with muscle. So, I had a combination of things. One, I was always curious to know what I could do with my own body in the gym if I applied the same work ethic I applied to my running, because I was a very good runner. I did quite well. And, I even represented Canada. I went to the World Triathlon Championship. So I was an endurance athlete. I was quite good. And I was curious. How much muscle could I build if I got into the gym? I never done it as a runner. We don't lift weights. I mean, you're fat if you're over 135 pounds. So we never trained with weights. And I remember I came in 136 pounds one year. My coach said, "Oh, you had a good summer, eh, Vinny?" I kid you not. And so anyways, and then I was a trainer. I'm like, hey, no one's going to buy personal training for me. I'm 149 pounds. So I was also inspired by that. And what was the third thing? So my university. Yeah, I think those were the two main things. I was curious, and I was just sick and tired of being called Skinny Vinny my whole life. And now that I was out of school, I'm like, here's an opportunity to transform my body. So I had I was doing it just for myself. I wasn't like, I'm going to take before and after pictures. I'm going to use these pictures to create an ebook. Like, this happened in 2002. I just did this by myself. I didn't discover the internet until 2005. So it was like, when I discovered the internet, I was like, oh, cool, I can leverage my transformation that I did years ago to now tell a story and to market a product. So which was pretty cool. So it was mainly to increase, get more clients and to get rid of this freaking Skinny Vinny nickname that I was so frustrated with. That was the trigger, man.
Wow. And when you finally got your transformation, what was your initial vision for your business when you first kicked it off? Obviously, you'd been challenged by your father. What was your original vision when you kicked off your business?
My online business?
Yeah.
Or my personal being a trainer?
Well, I guess, if it began with being a personal trainer, I guess, the start of the journey. What was your initial vision when you began on that journey? And when did it change? Because obviously, things have expanded quite significantly.
I've always been somebody ultra focused. I don't know where, but it was like always just like really short-term goals. Like when I first started working at the gym as a trainer, it was like save $1,000 a month so I can save $10,000. Think of this. I'm 22 years of age. I'm like, if I save $1,000 a month, I pay myself first. It's all out of a book called The Automatic Millionaire, which every single person should read. Great book, Automatic Millionaire. $1,000 a month. And a year from now, $10,000. And then I put down $10,000. I can get a down payment, which is like a 5% down payment on a pretty small house. And all I need to do is convince my parents to co-sign. I can get a house and I can get start creating some residual income if I get a rental property. So, and this all came from reading Robert Kiyosaki's book, The Cash Flow Quadrant. And I never heard of this concept called passive income. So that was kind of like my first vision was just to make enough money to invest in a house, because then I realized if I have a house and I have a rental property in the basement, then I can have an extra $300-400 a month, and I could start driving my very first sports car, which was an Acura RSX. And I wanted this car, and I knew I could afford that if I could just figure out. So I was very focused. I always had 6 to 12 month goals. I never really was thinking 2 years. I just couldn't wrap my mind around anything longer than a year. And I think that was one of my secrets, and that's one of my big pieces of advice for guys starting. It's like, just really get focused on where you want to be, like in a year from now. Don't worry about 3 years. People talk about what's your 5-year vision. I'm like, dude, I couldn't tell you, man. It's like, don't get me wrong. Is that a good exercise? Probably. But for most people, it's too like overwhelming. It's like, just where do you want to be in a year from now? That's much. Okay, I can figure that out. So where do I want to be? So that was kind of it, man. I started focusing on the job. And then when I discovered the internet, then I was like, I saw what, I didn't know this term back then, but the term I would have used, which I couldn't describe, was scale. The internet was scale.
Yes.
And it, I would argue with anybody that an internet-based business has the greatest opportunity for scale more than any other business in the world.
It's an unreal opportunity, and it's only getting more and more. All these different channels now, mobile channels and tools, Snapchat, Instagram, all these different methodologies of reaching people. It's unbelievable the level of scale that one can create.
And I will tell you, that's an audience perspective, but what people want are customers. I have a lot of people that follow me on Snapchat. I don't make any money off of Snapchat though. And I kind of considering it's probably a big waste of time. Same with Instagram. Do people make money on Instagram? Yes, I know some guys, but that's all they do. They know how to work. They have a strategy. So when you have a converting offer, an offer that like a sales offer, a program, and you have a page, a direct response marketing page where people can visit, and that page is converting leads into customers, or even like break even, where then you can sell on the back end. That's where the scale is, because like as you're suggesting, there's so much traffic out there, and if you have an offer that converts, I've seen guys literally go from, I have one buddy, I can't say who he is, but like about a year ago, he wasn't even making over 6 figures a year, and 2 years before that, he was like a complete beginner. He was just going like masterminds, just starting to learn, figure out what's my idea, what am I going to do. I just talked to him recently, and he's flying offshore to set up an incorporation because he's making so much money now. He's making over $100,000 a week.
Wow.
And sure, he's got a lot of expenses associated with that and everything else. But and just what I'm talking about here is scale. Like, and I have other friends, 8-9 figure businesses who've done it over a period of, 3 to 10 years. These aren't overnight successes, but it's like, show me another business in the world where you can go from nothing to like an 8-9 figure business in a couple of years.
It's unreal.
It is unreal, yeah.
And with you coming up to your 10-year anniversary of since you launched No Nonsense Muscle Building, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in that 10-year period?
That's a great question. So I started my business off as the fitness expert. So I was the face of the product. I'm the guy teaching the muscle building information. This is actually probably a better story over a beer, but there's a lot of things that in this process. But I guess to summarize in a one sentence, so we don't lose people's attention, is that I didn't know what my superpower was, because I built my business around, teaching muscle building advice. But in the process, I also became a very good internet marketer.
Yes.
And I got to the point where, like, I'm equally good, actually, to be honest. A lot of people, and this started, like, screwing around with my brain and my self-esteem, where a lot of people started saying, your marketing is better than your fitness information. And I'm just being real here, man, because, and they're probably right, because I fell more in love with the business side of things, and I realized that, like, you don't need to be the smartest person in the world. And I'm not saying like don't put out good quality information, but I realized that the information I put out was good enough. I'm like, this is good information. People are getting great results from it. I need to become a better marketer if I want to scale my business. I don't need to become better at education. I need to become better at marketing. And I embraced that. Like, I put the pedal to the metal, and I'm a really good marketer. I mean, people come and pay me a lot of money to learn how to, the marketing side of the business. And I guess what happened, I got to a point where my business, started to plateau for a couple of years, and I realized it was because I didn't know my superpower. And I didn't know, am I the guy who should be behind the scenes doing like the integration, the marketing, or am I the visionary? Am I the face of the brand who's doing the teaching? Am I the guy on camera who's just creating great content, who's indoctrinating, building the cult following, really helping people get results? And you can't, let me just give you a piece of advice. Once you get to around like, 7 figures a year mark, you can't do both. That's you could probably do it up until then. 6 figures, you can get away with it. But once you get to the 7-figure a year mark, you have to build a team around you. You need to separate the two roles. And this is all out of a book called Rocket Fuel by a guy named, I think, Gino Wickman and somebody else. And Rocket Fuel talks about these two distinct roles of the visionary and the integrator. And visionaries are like what I described. They're like they're the face of the brand. They're the guy they're like the Steve Jobs. They're like the guy who is marketing the thing. Actually, I don't know if that was a good example. Maybe it is. They're the guy who is on the YouTube channel teaching, creating the programs. They're like the Elliot Hulses, the Greg O'Gallaghers, the Jeff Cavaliers, those guys who've got big YouTube channels. Those are the visionaries. They're driving the ideas. They're ideation people. They're coming up with ideas, a dozen a minute. However, here's the problem. And you might know this yourself if you're an ideation guy.
Yes.
Is that teams, businesses have a limited capacity. They can only do so much production at once. So I've got 1 million ideas. So do you. Everybody listening here has 1 million ideas and they're stuck. So what my team helped me learn, I got 2 new guys on my team who are what I call integrators. And they're the guys that do all the behind the scenes stuff. They have the teams, the coding, the outsourcing, they manage the customer support. Anything that has to do with behind the scenes, they're masters at processes and implementation. And they say, Vince, this year you've got 12 amazing ideas, but we only have enough capacity to put 3 of them into play. And I'm like, oh, that's why I haven't grown. Oh, I'm trying to do all 12 ideas at once. And they're like, yeah, they're all good ideas. So what we have is something called the backlog. And the backlog is one of the most valuable things an entrepreneur can do. And this is something you can do right now. The backlog is a Google document, a whiteboard, whatever you want. And essentially you put all your ideas on this whiteboard. Just get them off your chest. And you put them there. And then what you do is you'll look at 3 or 4 things and you identify the things that will exponentially move your business forward if you execute them well. Not execute them quickly, execute them well, meaning they generate revenue, they generate results. And this is so hard for entrepreneurs because it's like, what? I can only do 3 things this year? Like, you don't need, that might be even too many. It's like, you don't need to do a lot of things to be successful. And this is like, now we're moving forward again. And it was all this stuff that these guys have taught me. They've got to income levels with other clients that, surpasses what I've done. And I've realized that my biggest challenge has been distinguishing what my superpower is. And now my superpower is building the following, building the brand, being the leader, being a true leader, spending time preparing my content and really growing the YouTube channel, staying in shape, understanding what I'm teaching, writing the newsletter, and creating the products. And, I support them in the marketing, but I'm not doing as much marketing as I used to in terms of like micromanaging and hiring people. That's a very unique skill set. And it's something that you likely don't need to worry about. This advice is specifically to anybody listening who's stuck, maybe at 6 figures a year, more likely 7 figures a year, and they're trying to figure out why. It's most likely because you need to read the book Rocket Fuel, and you need to really understand, first of all, most people know if they're a visionary or integrator. Some people don't. And figuring out, like, okay, if I'm a visionary, I need to find an integrator. And once you find that integrator, that will be one of the biggest things to change your business around.
I think it's so important, Vince. And actually, even back in my corporate career, I spent 8 years in corporate, and I've always been the kind of visionary leader who has all these ideas, all these goals and plans. But unless I've got a comfortable number 2, who's that practical implementer who can be like, look, Dan, I love this idea, but let's think about actually what are the action steps that we can actually take to make that happen. It was essential throughout my corporate career and my entrepreneurial career that I have to have someone alongside me who can help me translate that overall big picture vision into the kind of practical, workable steps, because I can just get carried away. I'm just a passionate, excitable, visionary creature. And if I'm not surrounded by people who are practical thinkers, I can often just get carried away. And I think even for people that's thinking about starting a business, if you know that you're one of those visionary people, I've seen visionary people just not get their ideas off the ground because they can't even focus on the day to day. I think it's so important, if you are that visionary character, is to, even if you're not in a position where you can bring people into your business, it's to surround yourself with people who think differently to you. Surround yourself with those integrator types who can perhaps advise you, even as a mastermind partner or an accountability partner, who can help you stay on track with those visions, because it's so, so important having that integration around you. If you know that you're the natural visionary, making things come to life and taking the right action is so, so important, whether you're just starting out or taking it from 6 to 7 figures. I think that's a critical point. I've seen so many entrepreneurs not get things off the ground because they struggle with the day-to-day, the action taking and the structuring their offers and how to attract people to their offers and how to convert their offers, all the practical mechanics. I think sometimes people just need to surround themselves by those people who can do those day-to-day implementation to make those ideas become reality.
Absolutely, man. I mean, at the start, you might have to do it's normal to be doing everything. I did customer support, product creation, sales page, outsourcing for the first 2-3 years. But that's fine. That's normal. But as soon as you're in a position to make your first hire, to start doing one of those tasks that can be outsourced, you just do it like one hire at a time. It's just, really have to get logical. It's like, I think that's the thing. Everybody wants this pie in the sky success, and they just it's like building your body, right? It's like, you don't just go to train 6 times a week. You start off training, full body workouts 3 times a week. And then when you earn 4 days, then you go to 4 days. It's like, you have to earn the progression. You don't jump. So, and I think if people are having a hard time with this, a really practical book. I'm a big book reader. I
Same,
believe, yeah. You can read your way out of a rut. A book called Switch. It's all about change. Making changes. And I mean, these guys just break down the whole concept of change, and I learned so much from that book because there's a lot of helpful things that because there is a way to tame this beast in your brain. I have seen guys who are how the way you just described beat it. It is possible, but they might just be they don't have the right tools to assist them in that. So, yes, the book's called Switch by Chip and Dan Heath.
Good guys. I'll make sure I put all of these books in the show notes. You've dropped some real.
They also got a book called Decisive: How to Make Great Decisions. Decisive and Switch. They got another one, Made to Stick.
Made to Stick is classic. Yeah.
You probably heard of these books. They're great books. A couple of my favorites.
So, I read before our session that you have this vision of helping 1 million people, 1 million skinny guys to be specific, by the year 2020. I guess you must be pretty well on track to that. I mean, I've looked at some of your stats and we've talked about audience and conversions, and maybe we can explore that a little bit in a moment. But, over 242,000 YouTube subscribers, 761,000 Facebook likes. You've certainly mastered the art of developing an audience and the holy grail of conversions. What's been the kind of biggest, firstly, on generating an audience? What is your biggest secret to success when it comes to generating a large audience?
Man, I don't even feel like I have a large audience. No, it's funny because I was hanging out with Elliot Hollis on the weekend when I was, or not on the weekend, last week when I was in Florida. He's got over 1.5 million subscribers, and we started at the same time. He actually started a little behind me. So it's funny. It's all a matter of perspective, right? There's a concept I learned actually from my pastor called the rich line. The rich line's always moving, right? People make $100,000 a year. They think that $1 million a year is rich, and then people who make $1 million a year, they think 5 million is rich. And you talk to people who make 5 million a year, and they say, if I only had 20 million, then I'd be rich. It's the whole perspective on size of an audience. It's like money. It'll always change. It's kind of like bodybuilders. My buddy Ben, he's a pro bodybuilder, and he said all I wanted was to be 220, and then he got to 220, and he was and then I wanted to be 230.
Yeah.
He got to 230, and he's like, I want to be 240. And it's when he first started, he never wanted to be never wanted to be people go, ooh, that's gross. Why would anybody want to look like that? People are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. He didn't want to look like a 300-pound bodybuilder when he started either. So anyways, I'm going off on a tangent here. How to build the audience. So, I really feel like, again, I'm going to stress this to you guys. Like, it's not the size of the audience that matters. I mean, it's attracting the right person. Social media is just one part of the game. I have friends who've got like 8+ figure businesses. They don't even have a Facebook account. Have an Instagram account. They don't do YouTube. They don't do Instagram. They don't do any social media. Like, I won't lie. Some of them say it's a big waste of time. They're like, why are you wasting your time on social media? There's no money in social media. It's like just people looking. It's just their interruption. I disagree with some of that. But these guys are guys who focused on making sales pages that convert on cold traffic. So they're attracting. What are they doing? Why am I telling you this? Because they're attracting customers.
Yes.
There's a big difference. Do you want a list of a whole bunch of people that just are freeloaders and just want free stuff? Or do you want a list of customers? You want a list of customers, people that take their credit card out and buy stuff. So what does that tell you? That tells you you should focus on creating a sales page that converts. One of those ugly long form sales pages. Yes, one of those. One of those long-ass 30, 40-minute video sales letters that you wonder, do people even watch these? A certain percentage do, and it's enough money to build a massive business. So the answer is yes. Awesome. I don't know anybody who's running a 7, 8, 9-figure business in the direct response marketing world. I mean, there are, obviously there's big companies. I don't know that world, but like doing it the way I do it, direct response marketing, nobody's doing it without a long-form sales page, a page that focuses on a problem, that targets a very specific audience, takes them through a nightmare story and, dissects a problem, then educates them on the solution, and then makes them an irresistible offer. I mean, you have to study sales copy. Where should your time be spent right now? Studying sales copy. If you don't have an offer that's making you money while you sleep, then you have no business doing anything else. I'm going to be very direct. You're wasting your time on everything else. Until you have a sales page that's bringing in customers, you're simply just bringing in lots of leads that are going to dry out, or who might get to know a whole ton of things about you, but they're never going to buy from you because you've trained them to buy from the get-go.
That's powerful advice. I think, constructing that sales funnel is such an important priority. Customers are the lifeblood of the business. You can have, like you say, all the followers in the world, but if none of them are purchasing, or none of them are targeted enough that they're going to purchase, then the business has a problem. Whether you're going for your first $1,000 or you're going for your first $1 million or your first $10 million, if you haven't got a buying audience using the mechanisms that you've kind of outlined, the business is going to fail. You're going to struggle. You can't scale without that level of conversion.
You're dead right.
So I want to talk a little bit about the inner game. We've talked quite a lot about mechanics and the growth of your business over the last 10 years. One of the things I enjoy talking about on this show is, again, in the concept of looking into people instead of looking out to people. Have there been times in your life where you've been impacted deeply by things like fear or lack of self-belief or self-doubt? Have you had any of those inner demons to conquer on your journey?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Just go read the comments on my YouTube channel.
Wow.
Just read the comments. There's a lot of unfriendly people, to put it nicely. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, when you put yourself out there, I mean, I'm in the fitness world. So, I'm selling muscle building advice. And, these young guys, oh, your arms are too small. Who's this guy? Why is this guy lifting baby weights? It's like, oh yeah, man, your belief is constantly challenged, And I just read a great book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. It might be one of my top 5s now. Such a good book. But he talks about, like, if you're experiencing fear, that means you're moving in the right direction. And that's good, man. Like, my running coach used to always say, like, it's okay to have butterflies. It's okay to be nervous. Just, make sure they're flying in formation. So for me, yeah, it's constant. I mean, especially when, I'm a coach now to, like, business people, and heck, I've had some guys who've surpassed me, And that can really, like, you're like, okay, 4 years ago, this guy didn't even have an idea. And now, I kid you not, I just went out for dinner. I can't say who he is. We went to high school together. I kid you not. But just here's a situation. So after my wedding, he invited me out for dinner. He said, "Hey, Vince, I've got this idea." His family's in the furniture business, very, very wealthy. Like, he doesn't need money. He says, "I got this idea for this fitness business. I wonder if I could take you out for dinner. I want to give you a free gift certificate to our furniture store, for your time. You really went out of the way. This is all orchestrated." He goes, "I've been studying you for 3 years." I'm like, what the heck are you studying? For 3 years. It's like, I got it. So he brings me out for dinner. He tells me this idea is a really good idea. I'm like, wow, this is really good. And he told me, okay, I gave him some feedback. A couple months later, he comes back. He gives me this CD, and it's a CD of the first video sales letter I'd ever seen. And I was like, holy crap, this thing's good.
Wow. This
is really, really good. I promoted it. He said, "I'm going to let you promote it first." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. You're going to let me." He's like, "Yeah, I think it's going to do really well for you." So I promoted it. I kid you not, in 1 week, I had my biggest sales commission. I made over $75,000 in commissions, like, promoting this video. It was a soft sell. It was just like, "Hey, have you seen this video yet? Check it out. I haven't seen this video yet. You should go check it out." Getting a ton of rave reviews. It wasn't even like a pitch. It was like the easiest money I've ever made in my life. Wow. But it's because I had an audience, and the offer was perfect for my audience. And anyways, long story short, 4 or 5 years later, this guy now, I just use this generic term. Can't get into specifics, but he's running over an 8-figure business.
Wow.
And he blown me out. Like, he's like so far ahead of me right now. And I'm like, you don't think that weighs in my mind? You don't think I think about that every day? You don't think I'm like, was it like this dude who was like 4 years behind me is now like a light years ahead of me? And here's how I deal with this. You can't look at the people around you as competition. You can't let your fears and doubts get in your way, because there's enough out there for everybody. Say that again. There is enough out there for everybody. I kid you not, it's so mind-boggling. There's so much out there. It's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at all these people around you. Like, you're in the podcast world, man. Like, there's so many big podcasters around you. And, I would just say, like, that's good. I mean, that means most of those guys were, like, non-existent. I was just talking to Lewis Howes the other day. He was like, "I didn't even know you had a podcast." He's like, "Oh, yeah, we really just exploded this past year." I'm like, "When'd you start?" He's like, 4 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Like, that's context.
Yeah. He
was hustling, grinding for 3 years. And then, because I'm like, "Dude, you're like everywhere, man. Like, holy crap. When did you start this thing? Did you just start this podcast?" He's like, No. I started 4 years ago. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's right. Everyone starts somewhere." So, do I deal with this? Yeah, I always deal with fear. I always wonder if, like, I'm normal, man. Everybody deals with that, self-doubt, and, especially when you're around people who share their financials openly and they started after you. And, like, it can really get to your head. I'm telling you, man. And guess what? It doesn't go away. Mm. So how do you deal with it? Well, let me finish with tell you a quick story. Back in university, my coach put me. I used to race the 1500, and he put me in a race. He put me in the fast heat. But I saw the sheet of paper. I'm like, crap! I've got the slowest seat time, and I was upset because I quickly realized I'm probably going to be fighting for last place here. Or not to get last place. I'm going to be fighting for second last here. I'm like, I told my coach, I'm like, I'm going to come last in this race. And he said to me, "Vince, do you want to win the slow heat, or do you want to run a personal best and come last in the fast heat?"
Nice.
And that was the first time I had a new perspective on competition. And I realized that the only thing that mattered that day in the race was to run a personal best. And that these guys who are going to kick my ass and run further, are going to run out ahead of me, and that I was just going to be trying to keep up to, it didn't matter, because they were going to pull me to my fastest time.
Absolutely. I mean, I used to play squash, and I was not very good at playing squash. So I'd originally started playing people that had a reasonable chance of of winning against. But the problem is, if you're playing against people that you have a reasonable chance of winning against, you're never going to grow. It wasn't until I started playing against people that were going to absolutely thrash me that my own game, my own skill set improved. But like you said, entering the next heat, stepping up to that next level, you can only when you're starting to run your own personal best as a result of taking on bigger challenges, it's only going to cause more growth than you'll gain ever by running against people that you know is a dead cert.
That's a great point.
And I think that's one of the things that's also important that comes linked to that point is really about the importance of peer group. And it's really interesting having a conversation with you, and you're evaluating your own audience size, for example. For many people, they'll look at the audience and the conversions and the monetary side of things, and they'll think, wow, that's such an admirable business. But then when you start to develop your peer group and you're in the same situation again, when you're starting to play squash with people who are further ahead than you, then you start to then think, well, actually, I've got a long way to go, even though you've come so far. Having that peer group with someone who's always a little bit further ahead than you is such a powerful thing to help stretch your game. It doesn't mean that you can't be grateful and appreciative for all the things that you've achieved so far. And I think that's so important to recognize how far you've come, even on a business level, but also on a personal development side, in terms of your character must expand to such a level, and really appreciating that. But then when you do surround yourself by people who are playing a higher game, and there's always going to be someone playing a higher game. And I think, even people like Richard Branson, the Bransons out there, these multi-billion-dollar owners, they're surrounding themselves by people that stretch them, even if it's not financially. There's always another level, and I think that's so powerful. What are some of the steps you've taken in your career to enhance your kind of peer group, and how has that affected you?
Some of the steps I've taken to what, my peer group?
Yeah, have you gone out there deliberately to expand your peer group? How important has network been for you in terms of building your business?
Oh, hell yeah. I would say it's everything. Like, I swear on my life, it's everything.
And how does someone get started?
I stay at home and I kind of just look at everybody else and I figured out how to do it. Are you kidding me? Oh my God! I use this stain all the time. I don't come up with it, but you probably heard it. You got to pay to play.
Mm.
You have to pay to play, and it's got to hurt. When you play, it hurts. You get in the game, you're going to get knocked down. You're taking risks. You're going to be spending money, might be losing something, you might be embarrassing something. You've got to pay to play. So, my very first coach I hired, I tried it on my own. I bought these $300 DVDs, and it was great. There's nothing wrong with the information. The information was excellent. However, I was overwhelmed. I didn't need the information wasn't the problem. The problem was that information was organized around where I was. And that's what I needed. So I hired a coach from the same company. They actually contacted me, and I knew I had to do it because, I know I respond great. I'm a very teachable guy. If you tell me what to do, I'll do it. So I realized that coaching was a good thing. So anyways, I hired a coach, $7,500. It included, get this, this is insane compared to what you get these days for coaching. One hour phone call a month for 6 months straight and unlimited email support. So that was it.
Wow.
6 hours of phone coaching for $7,500, and I was broke at the time. I didn't have the money. I was I was making money at the gym, but I was I was trying to save a bit, and it wasn't like an easy. It wasn't like, oh, I got this. It hurt bad. I didn't even tell anybody. I actually just told the girlfriend at the time because I'm I was afraid, if it didn't work out. And then I tell you, ever since then, man, I've been in so many masterminds. I was in Craig Ballantyne's $10,000 mastermind. I know you've had him on a guest. Craig Ballantine is the man. He's one of the biggest mentors. He's just incredible, man. He's the real deal. Craig is incredible. Craig's helped me. I'm not even going to say anything that Craig's taught me because he probably taught it all on the call, but everything with his perfect day formula. Craig's the man. So I was in his mastermind, then I was in Bedros's mastermind. Craig probably talked about him, an $18,000 a year mastermind. Dude, man, I'm always spending money. Heck, next week I'm going to my buddy's mastermind in Toronto. It's one day, $2,400, but it's my buddy. I was going to ask him, dude, you get a guest? Do I get a guest pass or what? He's our wives are good friends. We go on vacations together. We've been on so many vacations. This is a good buddy of mine. He's I give him the $2,400. Why? Because it benefits me, not him. It's not like he needs $2,400. The dude's doing great. It benefits me. And I'm that's the kind of like attitude you have to have. I have so many stories, but I mean, I've always been investing in myself. But the big thing is like, for me, I'll get ideas. So like in Bedros' mastermind, I was in a phase where I just needed like ideas and I could go execute them. I needed like more tactics and stuff. So after that, like after a year in his group, I didn't do a mastermind for 2-3 years because I had so much from that mastermind. But when your business stalls, it's because you've lost contact with people, and like lost contact with people who are just crushing it. I made that mistake. I was like, I got enough information. I'll be fine for a while. The moment you think that, you're screwed. You have to always pay to play. Like, I don't know. It's not a sales pitch. This is legit. Do it for yourself. I find a lot of people, when you're in those environments, what happens is you're around people who are just killing it. Your mind expands, your believability in yourself goes up. You take more action. You get yourself outside of the little comfy box you've put yourself in. And I always tell guys to go to events. Fly across the country. Like, truthfully, for the first couple of years, now in context, I was single at the time. I wasn't married yet. I was flying across the country to LA, to Florida, to like all these different marketing events, to New York, to like hang out with Ryan Lee and Eben Pagan and Dean Jackson and Yannick Silver and all these top marketing guys. I've been coached by all these guys. And they had these events that cost big bucks, and I was going to their events, and that's where I met so many of my friends now, guys who are business partners, guys who are affiliates, guys that put money in my bank account whenever I need them to promote something. It's like, this business is based on relationships. And I think maybe a good way to wrap up is like, you don't need to have a relationship with me, you don't need to have a relationship with Lewis Howes. Like, it's not like you need to have relationships with the guys at the top. That's not how I started. How it started was this, and this is probably some of the most practical advice I can give you, is you need to find 3 or 4 guys on your level right now, and you have to create what's called a syndicate. If you look this up on Wikipedia, it'll give you chills. It's like the mafia. And essentially, you basically create a little closed-door family, and you basically get together, a couple times a year, and you say, guys, our mission is to conquer the world, and we're going to promote each other relentlessly until that happens. And it's a conversation that goes like that. We're going to become world dominators. I kid you not. We talk like weird. We talk weird like that.
It's powerful. It's powerful.
It's okay. But I'm serious. So me and a couple of guys. It was actually me, Craig Ballantyne, Joe Marion, and John Romanello way back in the day. And Craig was the body weight guy. I was the muscle guy. Joe was the nutrition guy, and John was the fat loss guy. And we just basically said, whenever you come out with a program, I'll promote it. And they did the same. And guess what happens? Trust escalates. When John sees, John's people see me promoting Craig, Craig, and he's been promoting Craig, and they've been promoting each other. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, he trusts that guy. Okay, I guess I can trust him too. Oh, he trusts him. I trust him. So I guess I can trust these guys too. So all of a sudden, you increase your celebrity exponentially.
I think that's one of probably the best kept secrets. If you look in any niche, you can always see it in the sales pages, the testimonials. You can see that syndication process happening day in, day out. And it's so, so powerful. And I think for those people who, pay to play is such a powerful concept. There's 2 things from that I thought about as you're talking about. Number one, when I first started going to events at the beginning of my online career, I just buy the general admission tickets. And then I'd say, why are all these people paying this extra money to sit at the front? All you're getting is a nice seat. But it was not the seat. It's the people you surround yourself with when you pay that extra price. The price you pay is not the seat that you sit in. It's the people that you connect with. And the other piece was around, I've never, ever heard someone who's invested at a high level in themselves ever say, when they've worked with a quality mentor, that they've ever not got a return on that investment. And I think when you start to surround yourself with people who are on the same mission as you, in the same industry, like you've described in that syndication process, it's the best kept secret. Anyone who's got any financial, regardless of their financial situation, they can create that group of people who are going the same direction, who want the same things. I think that's such a powerful concept. Actually, I've had so many different conversations with so many different people. No one has spoken about that concept. And that in itself, as a takeaway for the listeners today, if they can go away and create that group where they can collaborate and they can work together and promote the heck out of each other's stuff, like you say, it builds trust, builds credibility, but also it helps people build their audience. And then, you're working together to improve your independent businesses and creating an amazing impact. So, respect for sharing that. That's not something that someone has brought up before. That's an incredible tip.
I'm going to just leave one more piece of advice, perspective on investing. So I got this, I hope I don't butcher this thing here. So I think this is out of Grant Cardone's 10X rulebook, but he talks about the difference between successful and unsuccessful people. And, the successful person buys, that $30 book and, they buy it for $30 and they know that they only need to find one piece of advice in that book to get their money's worth. Mm. As opposed to an unsuccessful person tries to figure out how to get the book for half price.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a $30 book. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a different perspective. It's like, if the event was like $18,000, it's like, you don't need to get like tons of advice from them. All you need is one thing. It's like, so you go to the event with the intent to find one thing that makes your return on your investment. It's like, and it all comes back to, this is called advanced responsibility. So there's responsibility, but then there's advanced responsibility. And this is an extreme example of advanced responsibility. You don't put the onus on the guy who wrote the book to deliver $30 worth of value. You don't go to the mastermind expecting the guy teaching the event to give you $18,000 worth of value. You don't buy the $39 ebook expecting the book to give you $39 worth of value. You go in there looking for the one thing that's going to 10x your investment.
Absolutely.
And that's called advanced responsibility. And until you get to that level, as long as you're moving in that direction, heck, everyone's got room for improvement, including myself. A long ways to go. But that's ultimately where you're going to achieve success. When you have advanced responsibility, you make no excuses, and you look for ways to get a return on all your time.
Amazing. Vince, there's so many things I could talk to you about, but I just want to go into the quick fire round. We've got 3 questions, turbo questions to finish up. There's so many different things we could talk about, from mindset to implementation and business tactics, but it's going to finish up now with 3 power questions to close out the show. The first thing is...
By the way, I suck at short answers, so this will be really challenging for me, as you can tell. Handles.
Well, let's see what happens. All right. So question number 1 is, if you had to start your business all over again with everything that you know now, what would be the very first thing that you would do to get started?
I would focus on a high converting offer, and I would start learning how to do paid traffic.
Awesome. That was concise. Nice. And the second thing is, what is the most game-changing advice that you have ever personally received?
Game-changing advice. I think I'll give this one to my dad. He gave me this quote: "Successful people have developed the habits of doing what unsuccessful people don't feel like doing."
Powerful. And the final one is, what does it mean to be unstoppable to you?
Advanced responsibility. You don't make excuses. Excuses are revisions of the facts to make yourself feel better. So to be unstoppable, you have to eliminate all excuses.
Nice. Great definition, and a good link. So the final thing for us to do is, I know that you've got the 10th anniversary of your No Nonsense Muscle Building program coming out. How can the listeners of the Unstoppable podcast find out about that? And also, how can they find out about your 6-figure program you talked about during this call?
Oh, cool. Thank you. So geneexpressiontraining.com will be the website. It's not currently live, but we dropped a term there. I don't know if if you caught it, the savvy guys caught it. We used a term called sales funnel. And essentially, that's all you need. We were talking about this the other day. You're just one sales funnel. You're just one sales page away from $1 million. So geneexpressiontraining.com is where No Nonsense Muscle Building 2.0 will be hosted. And you guys can see, I mean, first of all, it's a badass program. The program is really, really awesome. So if you're looking to build muscle, check it out. But if you just want to look at it from the lens of a marketer, or what a sales funnel looks like, I highly recommend you study it. Don't swipe it, please. You won't be able to, but there's a lot of things going on. So I recommend you guys check that out. geneexpressiontraining.com. I think actually we're starting a seed launch on Thursday night on the YouTube channel. So there'll be a video that goes up on the topic with a link to a page that they can start the funnel on. So there you go. The YouTube channel is just my name, Vince Del Monte, and then I was telling Dan before the call, I do these 2-day business seminars / masterminds. Did one in Toronto, one in Miami, one in Tampa, and it's called 0 to 6 Figure Formula. It's for guys who have a passion. They have desire to start an online fitness business. They've got an idea, but they just don't know where to start. So I go through 6 steps, and we cover the 6 steps on the first day of the event. So it's like a teaching seminar. I do a lot of teaching, and everybody just takes like a million notes. And then on the second day, everybody gets a hot seat. So in our last one, actually just a few days ago, everybody gets to come to the front of the room for an hour, and they just get to bring their number one problem to the front of the room, and we all just collaborate and dissect it and problem solve and mastermind together. It's pretty cool. So if they're interested, just literally personally email me. Just send an email to vincedelmonte@hotmail.com, and you can vouch that's actually my personal email. That won't go through anybody. It's not a small investment, but it's definitely not a large investment. And I don't know when I'm doing the next one, so you just be put on the waiting list.
Sure.
Notify them if they were interested. So literally just email me and say, hey, let me know when you run your next event. And it's as simple as that. I won't pitch you or do anything like that to you.
Awesome. And is that specifically for fitness professionals, or all?
It's funny. I kid you not. I just got an email from one of the guys in my group. I kid you not. Can I read it?
Yeah, sure thing. Please.
So it's really short. His name's Jordan Valeriot. He's in his early 20s. And he's, I don't even know, he's a DJ or something. He teaches guys, his business is called, we came up with his name, Hardcore Mixing. So he teaches guys how to mix hardcore music. Wow. He just posted this in our group. Hey guys, just wanted to give you an update, some inspiration. I already started my online business in 2015 before attending the seminar in Tampa. Last year, that business did about $30,000 in revenue. After attending the seminar, I spent the next 3 months focusing in on my ideal customer, applying the email strategies, especially to monetize, you have to polarize, and revamping and repositioning my product based on the feedback I got in the hot seat. I just launched a new version of my product last week and brought it, well, check this out. He relaunched the new version of his product last week and brought in $31,980 in revenue. Wow. Like I said, last year, the whole business did $30,000. This year, we're 4 months in, and I've already almost doubled that. Amazing. I'm still just getting started. Maybe this number seems small to some of you and huge to others. For me, it's big. It's a big win, and I know that what I learned from the seminar has been crucial in the growth so far. Next step is affiliate domination. Yeah, he did this all without affiliates. Anyways, if you haven't launched anything yet, keep hustling. This stuff works. That was just posted 2 hours ago in our private Facebook private Facebook group. So just, the stuff works. We got some guys. Oh, and you asked me, does this work for people outside the fitness niche? Yes, that's the answer. The answer was yes.
Awesome. There you go. And I know you've got a very young family, but would you ever bring this to the UK?
Oh, you know what? It's funny because I do one-on-one coaching. I actually have 8 guys who do one-on-one coaching with me. 4 of them are from the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love the UK. My brother went to school there. I was there a couple of years ago, and it wasn't even a long flight. It's only a 6-hour flight for me. So I would definitely come to the UK if, heck, Dan, if you were like, yo, dude, let's do one here in the UK. I'd come to the UK. The way I do business now is I tie it into my travels. So it's like, I was in Miami recently, so I'm like, let's do an event in Miami.
Nice.
Tampa for the winter. So I'm like, let's do an event in Tampa. So it's like, you can really start making this business work with your lifestyle. It's cool. So yeah, if there was like a trip my wife and I wanted to take to the UK, we'd like, we'd maybe do an event as well. So that's definitely a possibility.
Cool. Guys, I've got an audience that, 60% is in the US, but 40% from the UK. So guys, if you're listening to this and you'd be interested in bringing Vince over to the UK, either email Vince directly or myself, and we can see if we can figure something out.
Yeah, we just need like 8 to 12 guys. I found like maybe even 8 to 10 is fine. More than 10, and it's just like the hot seats get rushed. But 8 to 10 people, and everyone leaves with like it's really value added, because it's a perfect number of people.
Awesome. If you come over this part of the world, you're gonna have to choose the very slim number of summer months that we have if you want to keep the sunshine lifestyle going on.
It's all good, man. That's why I go to Florida. I live in Canada, so I think our weather's kind of similar. It's tough to get 2 nice days in a row here.
Definitely. Vince, it's been an absolute pleasure. So many golden nuggets, so much wisdom, so many references to other great materials as well throughout the show. I really appreciate your time today. For the listeners today, do go and check out the launch. All the links that we've talked about today will be in the show notes. So head over to theunstoppablepodcast.com. You'll be able to see all of those things today. Thanks again, Vince, for an amazing show. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I cannot wait to see the launch of your new program.
Thank you, sir.
Vince, I'm absolutely blown away. Thanks for an incredible episode. Vince is such a humble human being and incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to building a wildly profitable online business. Today, Vince shared some fantastic knowledge bombs with the Unstoppable Tribe. I cannot wait to start implementing some of the principles that Vince shared today and checking out all of the resources that he mentioned during the show. All of the resources that he talked about will be within the show notes, so do check it out over at unstoppablepodcast.com. If you'd like to spend time with Vince building your business, then do contact him on vincedelmonte@hotmail.com to find out about his next available slots for his 2-day 0 to 6-figure mastermind. Plus, if you're based in the UK and you'd like to see Vince over on this side of the pond, please do let me know and we will see what we can figure out. Thank you for tuning in to the Unstoppable Podcast. Do subscribe to receive updates about future episodes with other incredible guests. I'll be back on Monday with my solo round, where I'll be sharing how I'll be personally implementing some of the great advice from Vince's show today. If you enjoyed this episode and got value from it, please do share the episode on social media so that others can benefit from this episode too. Finally, if you're interested in launching your own online products or programs, check out my brand new webinar where I walk through the 5 core steps to develop, launch, and sell out your own signature program. Register now at danjgregory.com/unstoppable. Thanks again to Vince for a great show, and thank you for tuning in. Until next time, go out there, unleash your greatness, ignite your movement, and build your empire. You are unstoppable.